Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We have a bombshell story to get to. This has it all. It's wild. It is Brandon Jones offering his first real tell-all into his relationship with Serene Russell. It involves other members of Bachelor Nation speaking out, Serene's brother speaking out, people criticizing Clayton Echard for conducting the interview. And in the end, you know, it's right up the alley of what we talk about on the show, which is relationships end. People have their own side of what went down. Brandon, to summarize, is going to offer a look at, I guess, biting the bullet metaphorically here, where he now says, I did not cheat. I was single when I was caught dancing with that woman. I'm sick of being labeled as a cheater. And also he offers moments where he, admits he was in a bad place in the relationship. He will also share that he was threatened by his ex Serene with her leaking the 80 videos that she has of them in their fights that they did. I mean, it's very bizarre. But again, I think some people look at this and say, how dare he speak his truth here after what Serene's been through? And a lot of the comments on Instagram are people saying, oh, you just cheated on her, blah, blah, blah. And he's just sharing a different side of the story. What's my opinion in all of this? I don't have one. I don't know either one of them. And I don't really have much of a baseline for any other conversations they've had. Reality Steve broke the story that he cheated on Serene with, in his source, I guess, says, no, they were 100% together. Brandon says they weren't. It's going to really be up to what people want to think about it. What I find very interesting is that people get, a lot of outrage when they watch these promo clips on Instagram. This promo clip is a 75-minute long conversation broken down into under 90 seconds, right? So there are people on here that are so upset that this podcast happened. But I want to let people look into sort of the psychology of what goes down here. The same thing happened with Kaitlyn Bristowe. The promo clip for Kaitlyn Bristowe on the U Up podcast got 2.4 million views. People were so angry at the 60-second version of the conversation, which, was a truncated version of what was actually spoken, but, the nuance is missing when it's not from beginning to end. Well, so the facts might have been true, but kind of the way everything went down, the conversation that leads into it and leads out of it is very different. So what I find interesting with the Kaitlyn Bristowe scenario, 2.4 million people watched the promo, and they get 16,000 views on the actual full-length video. This is not good for society that we are so quick to our hot takes without listening to the full source. I cannot even share with you the full source of the Brandon Jones video here, just because you got to go watch the original source. I'm going to cover it. But for those people that are angry that Clayton would quote unquote platform Brandon here, Clayton's got 629 subscribers. He's got, hundreds of thousands on Instagram, and BMAC has hundreds of thousands of his own. This isn't, to me, a scenario where you have somebody with horrific viewpoints, like a Kanye West telling you why the Holocaust didn't exist. You would not want to platform somebody like that with such mistruths. In this case, it's somebody sharing their relationship. Is there collateral damage? Absolutely. And that's up to Brandon to be mindful of. But you're going to see moments where he's, sharing how he feels it all went. And if Serene has information that will call him out and roast him and make him look like a liar, a hypocrite, and all that, absolutely, that should be presented. So what Clayton says here is what should be said and what should be left unsaid. If the other side speaks up and tries to defame you, do you go on the defense, or say nothing? So I'm assuming, we have to assume by other side they mean Serene here. How did Serene defame Brandon? Was it simply her knowing they were broken up but saying they weren't? Or was there a real gray area where she throws the ring at Brandon and says, I don't want to be engaged to you anymore, but the contract of dating still exists. You're just not officially in that, that level, whatever. So, to say it's murky, that is an understatement. So I'm going to share with you guys several different clips of very interesting stuff here of what Brandon had to say on Clayton's podcast. Let's have a listen.
Your help in cleaning, whatever I can do to help you do that.
That's not the clip I wanted. We'll just get to it there. I'm gonna play like 5 different clips. I really encourage you guys to listen to the whole thing to get the full context. Literally, no one should be commenting anything with a strong opinion in the comment section here if you did not listen to the full thing. We are a recap channel. Go get source material.
That's kind of where all our problems started stemming from. I haven't talked about this, and I kind of just swept it on the, I don't know, dude.
Get into it.
Actually, you know what? We're going to scratch that. I think that, just in the valley, I think for me, when it started, like the anger, the depression, all that was when the engagement ended.
Okay.
And I think that just like that whole week before I went to Austin, when she gave me the ring and everything, and then I think I was just in denial for a good amount, like kind of just push it away, like, okay, my engagement ended, yeah. But at the same time, I was just like, you know what, maybe I'll be better. Like, maybe I'll be good. Maybe, this hasn't been working for us for a while. Like,
so the relationship was like heavy on the rocks. He gets the ring back from her. He'll later claim she threw it at him. And we'll get into the sort of actual breakup part in a second.
To me personally, she felt that she just needed to go back to Oklahoma, or that kind of was like her thing. Like, she just wanted to be back with her family in Oklahoma. And she felt that, being separated would have been better to work on the relationship, because obviously being trapped in a 1-bedroom apartment just wasn't doing it. And so I think then it was just like, I kind of just started losing hope, and like, the engagement ended, and I called you that day that it ended. I don't know if you remember, but I was just in the parking garage crying, and I was like, she ended it. She's moving back to Oklahoma, and she's moving her stuff out in like a week or so. And it's just like, I was in denial, but then everything kind of like started crashing in all at once. Mm-hmm. And like, I couldn't be in the house talking about it, because if I was in the house talking about it, she'd probably come out and like, it start a whole nother argument.
Listen, everyone's been in a breakup like this where you're in a parking garage crying. I remember one time I was crying in a Toys R Us in Times Square. I mean, is that not the same? It was raining outside, so I had to go take cover. I'm in like the Roblox section. Oh boy, but so yeah, not good. So anyhow, Caitlin Bristow interviewed Serene. This is really all I have for information about what went down. If anyone has any more information, DM me and let me know. But it involved the story that Reality Steve broke.
You say you were hiding out for a month. Like, what happened? Because we saw Reality Steve spoiled something of him kissing a girl in a bar, and then I think the news came out the next day. So what happened?
Yeah. So I mean, we both had things like we could have done better in the relationship, and it was something that we were both very much still in. And we had gone to therapy, which was really cool. Like, nice. Not just because, there's an issue, but like we were actually provided with therapy, like from the jump of our relationship.
Good. Okay.
And so like, it's not this like simple thing that like, it just didn't work. Like, right. We, tried to give ourselves the tools and like set ourselves up for success, but like there were just ultimately so many things. And then, like you talked about like Reality Steve and like a video, I think after that, it was just like, okay, there's like irreparable damage.
Irreparable damage. Now, Brandon admits in the podcast that he gave her false hope that they could possibly work on things. So I guess the question becomes, if I was the judge here and they were sitting down in court, I'd say, did you believe you were together? I'd have to get them on record. Did Serene believe they were still together? If you're still together when the dancing happens, that is a form of cheating. Now, is it as bad as hooking up with someone, having sex? No, but in most relationships, like if I was necking somebody on the dance floor, I would not expect my wife to let that happen. You know what I mean? So it's like on different variables of cheating, but still not good if they're together. He claims they weren't. Here's the original video of the instance they're talking about.
When I say, to know now that Brandon was seen in this video with another woman on May 5th and 3 days later on May 8th, they released a joint statement announcing a breakup. I don't think it's hard to figure out what happened here. That wasn't me speculating. That wasn't me guessing. Take out your recorders, take out your pens, take out your pencils, take out your crayons. Whatever you need to do to get this message across. Brandon and Serene on May 5th were absolutely 100% a couple.
Now, look, I believe Steve believes this, and I'm not even denying it. Brandon's offering a different story. It could be that Steve's source are people that are in Serene's camp, which, we're not going to question who his source is. He's got very strong reporting. There was no immediate, or was there? I'll have to look. I don't remember if Brandon immediately said that it wasn't cheating. But either way, he's been labeled a cheater. It's followed him for, this was over a year ago. So, if his side of the story is that they were officially not together anymore, then I think it's worth sharing. But, you would think there might be some timestamps if he is lying. All right, let's go to the next clip here. This is interesting. Now, regardless of whether he cheated or not, relationships get pretty muddy when they don't work out. And here's an instance where he says she wanted to see all of his Instagram history and had him and downloaded it all to see whether or not he was cheating in any other way, which it looks like he wasn't.
Austin or to San Diego the next day, and then we talked, and then.
So this is the day after he was caught canoodling on the dance floor.
Oh, she was just like, yeah, I just need to see your phone. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, whatever you need. And then that's why she went through my Instagram, Snapchat, text messages, phones, everything like that. And I didn't know that.
And by the way, if this is ever happening in a relationship, the relationship is irreparable. And look, if they're just breaking up and she wants closure to see if he actually did cheat, if he was cheating on her and two-timing her, I'm sure this would have been a lot easier for her, but it seems like that didn't happen.
Apps, you can I don't know if you knew that you can take Instagram and you could take all the data that you've had in a year, all your deleted messages, like pictures, everything like that, and you could download them all. Mm-hmm. And so she did that pretty much all my social medias and everything like that, and it took like 5.5 hours and
to see if
6 hours or whatever,
to see if you maybe had,
if I like cheated prior, okay, or if like this was a reoccurring thing, or if like.
So he says cheated prior. Does that admit that he was cheating on the dance floor? This is where I don't think we get like the full truth. And maybe it was asked here and I'm just like glossing over it. But if I'm Clayton, I would say, do you adamantly say you were not cheating? There was a moment, whether I get to it or not here, where he says, well, maybe I gave her false hope. So that could have been, the false hope could have been, go to Oklahoma, go clear your head and maybe we can work things out. I mean, if that's where you're at, then it becomes that whole friends scenario where we're on a break, we're not on a break. What are the boundaries? If you don't know the boundaries, could you possibly break them? Do you err on the side of caution? These are all the questions you ask. I think you err on the side of caution and don't do what Brandon did, because it can lead to a situation where, it is a gray area.
What actually happened in Austin and stuff like that. And so, yeah, she downloaded everything, and didn't find a single thing.
Didn't find anything.
And then that's where the anger kind of stemmed from later.
All right. So then he said that the anger built up after kind of feeling, the fact that she didn't trust him. So here we have a little bit of more look into what he thinks Serene was feeling, throughout the relationship.
Best light. So that it would present her in the best light. And so I think I started resenting that a little bit early on, and like talking to my therapist is like, she let me know like, yo, I think this is just resentment that you started building early on, because I kind of saw like, hey, I think you're more here to like get that edit, because she always expressed me to like, I just want to be seen. I didn't get seen. Susie got seen. Susie was seen. Rachel was seen. Gabby was seen. I wasn't seen with you. You know what I mean? On the Bachelor. So it was like, she was like, that's what started just building resentment, because I was like, let's go out. Like, who cares if we get caught together? Like, let's just go out and like do stuff and be in love and like, and I think that was just tough.
I have no idea kind of what he means. But the topic of resentment continues. And again, none of, like I said, all of the how a relationship ends, both sides, I feel like, are very much entitled to share their opinion. What's interesting? I mean, people are really coming after Clayton Echard here. And some people are calling him a men's rights activist. Let me tell you something. A man interviewing another man about his emotions after a breakup is not a men's rights activist, okay? We need to not use terms that exist, that are out there, to overdo it and try to silence other people. It's ridiculous. If Clayton wants to have a podcast where he lets other men talk, I mean, holy hell, that is not problematic. Although we will see in the comment section, one of Serene's friends calls Clayton out, having that he has been falsely accused, and how could he, handle this scenario when it, okay, put it this way: if people actually think that Brandon's completely gaslighting and lying through his teeth here, again, I encourage them all to come out, defend Serene. You know what I mean? I'm not the one conducting the interview. I'm just commenting on it, but I'm already prepared that people are going to go, "Oh, you're siding with X, or you're side." It's like, no, that's not it at all. I have no stake in the game here. When the story came out, we covered it all from Serene's side, really. But again, there was visual proof of him dancing. It just comes down to where that timeline is. All right, we're getting to more and more resentment.
It's like we fought, and like I didn't like her actions that she was doing, and some of the things that she was doing during those fights and during those low moments, to the point where I just I just started resenting her, and then she started resenting me, and we couldn't even like hug on some days, and we couldn't kiss each other on some days. It's just because she was like, yo, I just like mentally, I can't do that. I can't have any physicality with you right now. Like, I just need to like be in my room for a day or two and just like separate myself from you. And you know what I mean? And vice versa. I was like, I just can't, like, I need to go do what I need to do. And like, I need to just like separate myself from you for a little bit. And just like,
all right. So the relationship's not going well. And look, it's okay to separate yourselves from each other, but if you're fighting all the time, and we've all been in that relationship where you're fighting all the time, and something that, you get on good terms and you say one wrong thing, and then it's a whole nother week of silent treatment. Who knows? But here's where Brandon, shares the moment the ring was thrown.
Sensitive subject, but like, I know your mental health, you're telling me that it's not okay, and I want to respect that, but like, this house is a mess. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just need your help in cleaning, whatever I can do to help you do that, to do so. And it went from like that, and then it spiked into a whole nother conflict, to the point where like at the end, like I'm sitting on the couch, she's screaming at me, and I'm like yelling at her, and then the relationship's over. And she's throwing the ring at me, and I have that, and it's just like, yo, like that shit's tough, dude.
So was that the end of the relationship? He said the relationship's over at that point. Again, this is his retelling of the story. I'm sure there would be DMs and stuff if they were like, I don't know, if this wasn't the end of it. So he talks about false accusations.
Have a few drinks, and then cute girl wanted to dance with me. Okay, yeah. So yeah, was it wrong? Absolutely. Like, I should have never done that, but like, I did it.
If you were single, it's not wrong. So that's why it's like, that's why you get into the question of the gray area.
But to be labeled as a cheater is crazy. And
I can empathize with you, because the whole crazy situation that happened with me with this girl that made this false accusation.
What, Clayton? Someone made a false accusation on you?
I put myself in a bad position to invite her over. I was using weed to cope.
Yeah.
So I was using a drug because I had just seen.
So he talks about, taking an accountability there. So for all the people that are mad that they're having this interview, I do see accountability being taken. It's just he's not willing to say that he was a cheater.
I think that hurt her a lot, and just like all these things, like she had to process. Just like, dude, she just took it all out on me, just like everything. She just like would call me. And then it got to a point where I'd be getting cussed out for like 3-4 hours at a time.
Fun.
You know what I mean? And it'd just be like, it's like, yo, she's tell me constantly like, oh, I don't see that you're rock bottom, so I'm going to make sure that you're rock bottom. And I'm going to let you know, like, I got a plan to go on Kaylin Bristol's podcast and say that you cheated. And I'm going to tell the world that you cheated so that no girl in Bachelor Nation will want to be with you.
Yikes. Now, if he did cheat, it's like, do what you got to do. But if he didn't, then we have like sort of a weaponized platform here.
And that no girl, any girl who wants to be with you and looks you up, that's the first thing that they see. So every single time I have to talk about that and talk about my relationship with her, with every single girl that I see. And it got to a point where I was just like, yo, do I want to do this anymore, man? Like, do I want to do I got to do it? Is this going to be my life from now on? Because I don't want this to be my fucking life from now on.
And the feeling of being ostracized is one of the worst feelings. Just it's genetic. It's in our bones. You know, it's in our survival to not be ostracized. Is he actually ostracized? No, but it's the feeling of it. Will there be people in Bachelor Nation that will always think he's a cheater? Yes, that's what happens when the story breaks and you're on the wrong side of the story. That there will be people that always think he cheated and he was conniving and he was this and that. What is the truth? I mean, the truth, at the very least, I think we can all agree the truth is it was a super toxic relationship.
The whole time was like, hey, I'm sorry that hurt you. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I wanted to hate her so bad, but it was just like, I couldn't because I loved her so much. So I was like, yo, I'm sorry that hurt. So I just took accountability for it. Like, oh, should I even be feeling this right now?
Kind of feels like Tino in the sense that he's taking accountability for hurting her, but in hindsight feels that, and again, I'm not trying to speak for him, feels that maybe he fell on the sword to make sure the relationship ended with some sort of grace. We don't know if that's true. Again, she can light up his ass if any of this is wrong.
And like who I am as a person multiple times, to the point they would see through that and they would be like, oh yeah, nah. But
Do you want to reconcile with her?
I don't even know what reconcile is.
Do you want?
It's when people get on Driving with Dave. No, okay. So look, you got to listen to the whole thing. You got to watch the whole thing, or don't. But I find it interesting. The comment section on YouTube is way more nuanced than the comment section on the Instagram video. And again, part of that, I think, is just the people that are willing to listen to the story versus the people that kind of get the short form story. So it's very interesting. Jill actually here, from the show Bachelor in Paradise, defending Serene, said, Clayton, I know you have been wrongly accused by multiple women in the past. I believe that you are well-intentioned, your effort to support and bring awareness to men's mental health. However, you are now allowing for the speculation of a good person who I witnessed suffer. I know you are privy to some of that suffering, and I'm shocked and disappointed that your platform would be used in this way. So Jill is here, in support of Serene, which I think is fair. But I guess she's negating Brandon here as well, And, what I found interesting was some people commented on and we might not be able to pull it up right now, commented like, hey, Jill, if you knew that Clayton was suffering, did you ever take the time to speak out on his behalf publicly? And I mean, that's kind of the scenario that I think we see here, which is you see how easy it is. And again, it's a tough conversation to have, but I would argue men and women, equally need a lot of help with the therapy after going on the show. But the show is primarily a female audience. I know this because my demographics are 92% women. And so I think it's easier to just empathize with people that are like you, whether it be gender, color of skin, occupation, socioeconomic level. I mean, it's so much easier to empathize with someone who kind of you see yourself in that friend group. And so I think for that reason, it's easy to look at these guys and go, oh, Brandon's the bad guy here. I'm not saying that if he's not the bad guy, it makes Serene the bad girl. I'm not saying it has to be one bad versus the other. What I've said all along, and this is my proprietary blend of the way I do business here, is that you can be in a bad situation, you can be stuck in the mud, you can be in this toxicity, and we're so busy as an audience judging them for how they coped with a relationship built on sand. There's no foundation to these relationships because they're built on a TV show. Yeah, maybe Serene wanted the perfect edit. Maybe she thought Brandon was a guy that he couldn't live up to be because he's just a normal guy and they set the bar so high for him. So as audiences, why are we so quick to get mad at Clayton for having the convo, get mad at Brandon, down the human centipede, someone's going to get mad at me? Why are we so quick to like displacing our anger versus realizing these are normal humans that had a hell of a time trying to live up to what the show wanted them to be? And the show did. They give them the pressure for these relationships to work. Here's a therapist. The therapist isn't necessarily there for them. The therapist is hired by the show. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So in the end, the therapist is going to be trying to do their best to make that relationship work. And yeah, I just find it so interesting to see the comments. There are other comments. And by the way, so then Jill said this, Clayton, you can discuss these topics in experiences without referring to specific scenarios, which inevitably cause speculation for both parties. And then we also have commentary from Serene's brother, which we just don't have time to get into in this right away. But you have people fighting. I mean, people saying, Jill, you're biased. Let Brandon speak his side and move along. It's manipulative to record arguments, period. Two sides to every story. I'm sure they were both at fault, but man did not cheat. Get a grip. And again, that's kind of mean. I was reading that before. I was like, that's kind of a mean comment. But the point is that he claims in this video that she was recording their conversations for purpose of sharing it with their therapist. And then once the relationship was on the fritz or on the outs, that was going to be used to, he's claiming that she was going to use those conversations to out him as a bad guy. A lot of people left comments skeptical of Brandon and said, well, why was she recording these conversations in the first place? And again, I don't have any of the answers. I'm on no teams, but when it comes to me and what we do on my channel, if I sound very defensive, it's because you get put in the line of fire. You get put in the line of fire when you have these complicated conversations about breakups, and then it goes, oh, he shouldn't, be platformed. Well, why not? Well, why isn't he allowed to share his side of the story? I mean, he did a pretty good job. I think for those that actually listen to it, I'd love to know people's thoughts. I am going to have a video discussing what Serene's brother said, because I am trying to be fair here. And Serene's brother says he was in the room with Serene when Brandon apologized for abuse. What the hell does that mean? We're going to read what he has to say so we can continue to share both sides of the story. We'll probably never know the exact truth, but I think that's the point of these types of he said, she said moments, which is to everybody, calm down. The best case scenario is they both learned the bad version of themselves they don't want to be, and they don't bring that into their next relationship. They learn, they grow, and do better. The question I have for people that are in the comment sections calling everyone out and all these bad names, what are you doing in your life to be the best version of yourself today? Breathe into that energy, and let's all just try to be better versions of who we're supposed to be. All right. I got a lot to get to. We'll have another video coming up right after this, and we'll round it all up this afternoon with another episode of the Rush Hour podcast. You can scan that QR code right now, and you can catch our twice daily episodes. I already have the morning one up, so if you want to take your lunch break and go listen to that, I will let you. You are now dismissed for lunch. Enjoy it. We'll see you in a little bit.